Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. This is actually a retaping of our 10th episode of the Wednesday webinar. We failed to capture the recording, and we had Carla and Carlos did such a great job that they've been gracious enough to present this a second time. So this is the presentation. If you missed it from Wednesday, January 27th, it's episode 10, and it's Carla Mack, YSC coordinator in Fayette County, and her nephew Carlos Lewis, who is one of the tutors that is participating in the program that they're here to talk about today. So without further ado, let me go ahead and turn off my screen share and turn it over to Carla and Carlos. Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm very humbled that you all have asked me because I know a lot of coordinators are doing some fabulous programming throughout the state. So to be asked to present my program is very humbling and exciting. So I appreciate the opportunity. I did want to share with you all today about a program that we're doing at Eda J. Hayes. I've been a coordinator there since 2016. And of course, with the pandemic, we had to come up with some creative ways to reach some of our students that were falling behind. Carlos had reached out to me a couple of months ago and asked if there was an opportunity for him to give back to the community or do something as far as mentoring or doing something like that, being a college student at UK. So we sat down and came up with the idea about possibly doing some tutoring for some kids that were struggling. So that's kind of how the virtual math tutoring program came to be, because Carlos had reached out to me wanting to do something to get involved with the community. So with that being said, we created the virtual math tutoring program where we utilize college students. And I'm going to share my screen real quick with you all. So this is just my Bitmoji classroom that I've set up to utilize, so parents can go here, check out the website, and utilize my Bitmoji classroom to access resources. So if they need help with hotspots, they can click on the computer, and I won't go through all that, but they can just kind of click on some of the pictures and get resources information. We're a panther is our mascot, so they can click on the panther and it directs them directly towards our website and get school information. But on to the next screen. This is the flyer that we've created. We have about 20 tutors that are working with us right now through the University of Kentucky. We also have a Transy assistant professor at Transy, who's a math professor there, that heard about the program. I've got one of my advisory council members is a professor for education at Transy, so she reached out to a couple of the staff. So Priyanka graciously joined us to help with the tutoring program. We meet on Mondays with our students. So like I said, it's all virtual. So it makes it easy to access the students as well as our tutors and the mentors that are tutoring the students. So we do that from 2:30 to 3:30 on Mondays. And then we also have offered a evening component on Mondays where the assistant professor at Transy and I open up a Zoom from 6 to 7 where parents can actually get on there and try to empower the parent to give them the support they need in order to help their students. So that hasn't really been utilized as much as I like, but I think once the word gets out, that'll probably be utilized a lot more. But that is a service that we're offering to our parents. So this is just the flyer that we created. We've sent it out through, we posted it in our school newsletter. We've shared it on our Facebook page. I sent it to all of our staff, our guidance counselors. So everyone has access to this information and they share it with their parents. When parents reach out and say that their students are struggling, they'll refer them to the tutoring program. So they just share this flyer with them. This is just a little bit of information that we go over with our tutors before we get started. We know that it is important. Students depend on and look forward to working with the college students. It's pretty cool to be able to hang out with a college student for an hour. So we all know that they hear it different from college students opposed to, old people like us. So they prefer to work with our college students. So I encourage the students to be dependable, show up on time, get on the Zoom a little bit ahead of time so we can kind of go over the basics before we get the Zoom started. There is a background check that they have to do. A lot of our students have already gone through background checks because of the university and the classes and requirements that they've already done. So I think that depends on your county and how they have that set up. But we do a Fayette County background check. I stress to them that they need to share any concerns. We all know that, students will share information as you're just, thinking you're having a casual conversation with them. There might be things that are shared or things that are, caught off guard by our tutors that are working with our students. So I encourage them to reach out to me, make sure they contact me if there's a concern or if the student's not participating, or if they share some information that is alarming to them. They are to immediately direct that to me so we can address the issue, address it with the parents. Confidentiality is huge. We go over a whole training about how it's important to not share information about your student or who you're working with. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable while they're participating in the program. Students do participate. What I have found is I'm having a hard time getting the kids to jump on like anything. It's hard after an hour long or a day of being on the Zoom all day long. I'll give them about an hour break and then they have to hop back on. So sometimes we have more tutors than we do students that are jumping on. So we do address that and make sure, if the students aren't going to participate, then, we'll add other students on that are on the waiting list. Currently, we have about 20 students signed up, as well as 20 college students that are tutoring. So we make sure that we try to give one-on-one. Sometimes we've had to double up and do 2 students per 1 tutor. And we just encourage them to make math fun. We want them to connect in a different way. Math can be stressful to a lot of our students, and we just want our college students to be able to make it fun and exciting and show them how it relates to the real world. I think sometimes we assume that, what are we going to do with this math problem, when I get older? And I think the college students are able to give them that perspective to show that math relates to a lot of things, even when you get older, or, the things that you need to know when you're in college. I'll turn it over to Carlos. He is the one that has got all this started for me. So we'll let him share his experience about being the tutor and his experience with his students.
Hey everyone, yeah, my name is Carlos Lewis. I'm a senior at UK, and basically what Mrs. Mack was saying, I think this is a great program. Just being a tutor, I learned a lot as well. Even from the tutors or the people on the students that I'm tutoring, whether it was we get on and immediately hop on to work, or we just sit on for like 15 to 10 minutes just talking about life or anything they're curious about, like college or anything like that. I felt like when we, made it kind of less formal and more casual, we got like better results because they were like more willing to actually, do the work after, instead of like going straight into it. Because I know after like virtual learning, like a whole day, like 6 hours of school, and then, going straight into an hour of tutoring can be kind of a lot for a middle school student. So I definitely feel like, hopping on and talking to someone, maybe that so my age that, I could maybe relate to them more than an actual teacher, they would feel more comfortable doing stuff like that. And then, slowly transitioning into, what we're supposed to be doing with like the math tutoring and everything. But as far as the kid that I tutored, I think that we formed a great relationship over the whole program. And I also did see lots of progress throughout the program as well. At first, I know we were supposed to be working on, his assignments that he was working on in class, or like whatever he was learning. But I found that it was most important that we go back and, get him caught up on the missing assignments so that he could understand, what he's currently learning in class. So I feel like it varies with every student, but at least from my experience, I feel like it was very beneficial to get him caught up to speed rather than, just focusing on what they're doing in class currently.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, go ahead.
I actually have a question for you, Carlos.
Okay.
So when you do the pairings, do you work with the same student throughout the experience, or does it switch up?
Correct. So that's the plan. You typically want to work with the same student, but here and there we'll have like some logistic issues where a kid might not be on for that week, and then you get paired with another student. But I learned that staying with the same kid, you probably got the most success out of that because you form a relationship just like anything else, and become more comfortable, and you get adjusted to their learning styles and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's most beneficial if you stay with one student, but things happen, and if you get paired with another student, it's not the end of the world.
Thanks. Makes sense.
The beauty of the program is Carlos has a sister who goes to Hampton University, and she's always wanted to volunteer and do some things. So we were able to even pull her in from, she lives in South Carolina. So she's been able to even join in on the Zooms and participate. So we're not just limited to UK students or Transy students. We also have a student from Moorhead that's going to be participating. So I encourage you to reach out to all your surrounding counties, or if you know of a college student, that's interested. A lot of our students are looking for community service hours, and I'll let Carlos kind of talk about the community service projects and stuff that are required for the college students. But the beauty of the virtual program is we're able to use anybody around the world to participate as long as they've cleared the background check. So it's been fun and exciting being able to tap into some of the kids that are really eager and wanting, but they're not here in Lexington, but they want to participate. So it's been neat seeing being able to do that through the Zoom. So that is one of the positive things from the virtual program.
Yeah, and then just to touch on the community service aspect, I know a person at UK, a lot of orgs and clubs and even majors require community service, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for not only the mentors but also the students. So it's beneficial for everyone, and it's something that college students are really trying to look after and take advantage of. So I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for whether it's middle school or elementary school to reach out to the universities and partner, because there's endless students that are always willing to help the next generation. So I feel like it works out for everyone, really.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, Carlos, because I mean, that's a great angle because, we've only got, of the 120 counties in Kentucky, maybe 7 or 8 of them actually have a higher learning education, but, that doesn't matter. Really, as long as like you said, Carla, as long as people pass the background check, they could literally be going to school anywhere: New York, California, Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, and tapping into those service organizations. If I was a coordinator, say in Hardin County, and we don't have a big college in Hardin County, reaching out to UK, U of L, and trying to make contacts that way. What about you? Have you been involved in kind of recruiting tutors, your friends, your connections, people that at school, Carlos?
Yeah, for sure. One of my roommates actually, he's a tutor at UK for college students. It's called The Study, and they offer different courses to tutor other college students. And so like people like him and just kind of other people in like early education majors and stuff like that. So like students that are really looking to help the next person. But there's endless people, whether that's like from my context or even just like reaching out to different orgs on campus. It's like I said, it's really endless. There's plenty of people really trying to help out the next generation.
The beauty also is we use a lot of former students that attended Hayes, and they are excited to come back and give back to their middle school and join in. So we probably have about 6 or 7 former students that actually attended Hayes that are now tutoring. So it's fun to see the older students come back and give back to their school. So.
That's terrific. Something you mentioned, Carla, you mentioned a waiting list. So how do you manage that? And what happens when you, I noticed on your flyer that this program is specifically targeted towards your school, Edith J. Hayes students. What happens when a student that doesn't have this applies? How does that work?
What I try to do, the Lexington Public Library has a program, a tutoring program, but I think there's a waiting list. So I tried the ones that I can address. I try to give them the resources in the community that are available. But like I said, there's waiting lists on, everybody's looking for services like this. So I just try to give them the resources in the community if I can't get them on. Fortunate for us, we've been able to accommodate everyone because we have so many college students, and then I've been able to maybe double up and put 2 7th grade students with one mentor because they're working on the same math problems or the same circumstance at the time. So it's worked out to where and then, like I said, some of the students that didn't take advantage of it or that had signed up and continues to miss, we've removed them, and we've been able to accommodate all the students that are reaching out. So it's worked out pretty well for us so far.
That's great.
I did want to encourage.
Go ahead.
Oh, I did want to say, a lot of times it's a 40. By the time we have an hour, so by the time we actually get everything, the logistics going, it's usually about 45 minutes. The actual session. Some students don't stay on for their whole entire 45 minutes. They hop on, get their work done, and it's okay if they only need that 20 minutes for that week to do what they need to do. So as long as they get what they need. Sometimes it could go the whole hour. It just depends on the student. Sometimes it's carried over just to get some students caught up. I know one of the students had a lot of zeros, so Morgan, Kip's sister, Carla's sister, had stayed on probably another hour just to kind of help her, get those zeros caught up, and even met with her like on that Thursday just to make sure that she had completed all her assignments. So it just depends on the student and the circumstance at the time. So.
Gotcha.
And I totally agree. And I feel like that's an easy way to, track their progress and just seeing like, where they were at the beginning of the program towards the end, and kind of, you can see how much of the impact the actual tutors had on them, the mentors. So I feel like this is definitely an easy, like tangible thing to, progress and track down so you can, deliver results when you're explaining the program.
I'm so glad you went there, Carlos, because that is, of course, for our audience, something that we're always looking for in Frisk is how to, because Frisk across the state do wonderful work and they do so much good, but sometimes it's really hard to measure. And so we're always focused on data of how can we not only have great impact and really make a difference, but also be able to measure that and be able to show that, yes, what we're doing and where we're spending dollars and where we're spending time really is making a difference. So it's going to be really exciting as you guys continue this program through the rest of the year to look back on what that impact really looks like. Carla, do you want to say anything more about the data side of this?
Priyanka, the assistant professor at Transy, she has created a survey for our tutors to collect some data from their perspective at the college level. She needed to do some research and data, so she's utilizing our college students to kind of gather information for their math department. So I haven't got the results of the surveys and the input that they've given her, but she surveys them each week just to kind of get an idea of where they're at and addressing the issues. So hopefully we'll get some information from her research pretty soon to see the impact it's having on the college students as well. So.
And that sounds great. And like Carla said, I mean, looking at missing assignments and looking just at the grades, I mean, this seems like a very, very good opportunity to be able to get that data. Now, back to that question about scarcity. And this was why I was so eager to get this captured and get this spread across the state, because the more programs like this that could spring up, the more it could meet that untapped demand. What happens when kids are back to more traditional instruction? Do you see this continuing?
I'd like to. Actually, Hayes has a tutoring program that we offer on Tuesdays after school, or it's ran through our staff. And I need to sit down and discuss it with my principal. My principal is very supportive and very knowledgeable about, Frisk and our requirements. So it makes it easier to do programming when you've got that support from the administration. But he's wanting to figure out how we can continue to do this. And it might just be something that we have to do. I would like to continue it virtually. It makes it easier for the students as well as the college students. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to come to our, and the funding, you're not worried about, feeding the kids, get them there after school. So I think this is going to be a way where we can address and be flexible with people's schedules. I know a lot of our students have a lot of extracurricular activities after school, as well as the college students. So just to be able to meet up and kind of pair up their schedules throughout the week once we do go back in person is going to be challenging, but I think it's going to be beneficial to be able to do that and keep the flexibility.
That sounds great. Carlos, anything else you'd like to add?
No, other than I'm very thankful to, be a part of this and, help out Mrs. Mack and, be able to speak to you all today. But other than that, yeah, I'm just pretty thankful.
Well, Carlos, on behalf of all the coordinators that attended yesterday, I mean, you started this. So, way to go, man.
Yeah.
This is really special. And
Hmm.
and the thought that something that you started that we're talking about today could multiply and spread out throughout the school. We got some questions yesterday in the chat room about, yeah, this is great for middle school students to reach out to this college, but there's no reason that in some of our districts we couldn't have FRCs pair high school kids.
Hmm.
And again, kind of that same angle that you were talking about, Carla, especially kids that have gone through a particular elementary school and now they're in high school,
Hmm.
and reaching back and helping kids that are going through their same classes with the teachers that they know. And
Hmm.
that crazy teacher that does this, oh, is he still there? Yep. Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
he was just like that when I took him.
Hmm.
And watch out for this. And I think that could be really positive.
We
um,
do have a program at Hayes, and we partner with Henry Clay, our feeder school. It's called 3Gs, and we've been doing it since for about 7 years now. It's called 3Gs: Girls Guiding Girls and Guys Guiding Guys. What we do is we bus about 60 students to our elementary schools twice a month from the high school. They go through an interview process. They have to submit a resume, and we do that and screen the students, and then we bus them out to the middle school. So I have 20 students that come to our school on Wednesday mornings, and they work with as mentors to our kids. So it's already in place, but we just had to kind of tweak it a little bit. At, and I've utilized the college level for the tutoring, but we do have some programs like that in place where we're using even the high school students to address just coming back and giving back to the younger kids. They respond well to them, and 3G has been also a huge success within our feeder schools. It's Breckenridge, Liberty, Ace, and Edith J. Hayes and Henry Clay. We all partner together to do that program. So
Gotcha.
definitely utilize the high school students. It could be impactful using them as well if you don't have access to the college.
Is that a program that you kind of borrowed and you're using, or is that something you developed with just that network of schools?
We developed it. It just kind of formed. We wanted to do something years ago. Sandra Barnes at Breckenridge, myself, and the coordinator that was at Edith J. Hayes. I was at ACE years ago, and the coordinator at Hayes, where I'm at now. We all kind of partnered together and came up with this whole concept of just because we were working with the same students, working with the same families. So it was like, well, let's come up with some kind of mentoring thing. So that's how 3G. But it was Sandra Barnes was really the brainchild behind the 3G program.
I bet you know where I'm going with this, because boy, that sounds like another great topic that we could talk about one of these Wednesdays.
Yeah, yeah. Right now we're not able to do it because because of COVID, so we
Sure.
haven't been able to utilize it. But we haven't been able to come up with a virtual kind of concept for that, and just pulling the kids out and trying to do it during school hours. It's been easier working with the college student schedule as opposed to trying to grab the high school students and getting that going. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think you mentioned an app that you use, that the tutors use.
yes, there is a app called Slater, I think Slader, or is that? And am I pronouncing it right, Carlos? I think
Yeah.
that's the. So it's really an app that they can use, and parents. We encourage parents to kind of get on there. It kind of gives you can scan. There's a QR code on the back of their math books, and you can scan that QR code, and it gives you the information and the answers. We don't share that with the kids, but it just kind of helps them, give them a little cheat sheet to be able to use. And our tutors also are able to bounce back. Priyanka stays on the Zoom, and if they have questions, she's available for the tutors to bounce back over and get out of the breakout rooms to ask her a question. Most of our tutors have, they're not very knowledgeable, so we haven't really had to use that, but we did want to keep that a resource available to them while they're doing the Zoom.
And let me just ask a logistical question, Carlos. So when you have these meetings, so everybody comes together and then you break out into like individual breakout rooms where it's one tutor and one or two kids. Is that kind of how it works?
Correct. Yeah. So usually Like Mrs. Mack mentioned earlier, all the mentors or like tutors will hop on earlier. And then we just kind of like give a rundown of like, what we have planned. And then she'll usually tell us who we'll be paired with. And then once the students join, we'll start breaking out into the rooms. And then, from there, it's just one-on-one breakout rooms. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Carla, what do you and Priyanka do while the different breakout groups are going on?
We jump into the rooms just to check and make sure we're listening, just to make sure that the kids are behaving and staying focused, and being able just to check on the tutors to say, hey, is everything okay? Do y'all need us to do anything? So it works out well so far, so good. It's been easy. So. I'm not very tech savvy, so sometimes I'll have to ask the college students, hey, can't do this Zoom, I don't know where the screen is, or where is this, so it's beneficial for me as well to have access to the college students to kind of help me through my technical challenges that I have sometimes. So
that's great. Well, and I can't stress, I mean, this is born out of necessity because of the times that we're facing, but I love the idea of this continuing even in more normal times. And like you said, Carlos, I mean, if this is virtual, really college students from anywhere that want to do some service, put in some hours, especially thinking people that have kind of an education slant anyway, what a great opportunity to fill a need, because I can just imagine how many kids are going to be struggling to get kind of back up to speed after, a year plus of NTI and COVID and quarantines. And we've got students. We had a fellow talk at Fall Institute. It was a college student, and he had been to in-person school 4 days, and that was in mid-November. So
wow.
And I know that I know we've got kids across the state that haven't stepped foot in a school building this school year. So well, this is exciting. Yeah. And it's near and dear to my heart. Like, I'm a math tutor, and so I get to tutor 2 kids that live up on Cape Cod. I mean, there's just no geographic, limitation right now. But so I say all that for coordinators who don't live near a college, please don't let that be a barrier. Reach out. Somebody mentioned yesterday in the chat that there is just a certain buzz about UK students across the state. And, UK students can be available to schools wherever if we can just kind of make those connections.
Yeah, and they don't have to be an athlete. It's just UK students. I mean, they're people revere the UK name around here. So.
And that was something that was pretty funny to me. The tutors kept asking me, "Oh, do you play basketball or football?" I'm like, "Nah, man, you can be a regular student and just go to school you don't have to be an athlete, man. Like, it's okay. You can just be a normal student."
There's a few of those on campus.
Carlos is not the regular student. He just received, I have to brag on him, but he received the award for a 30 and under Forbes list last year. So he, out of how many students was it, Carlos, that you were selected?
Sure. I know there was over 20,000 students that applied. I think there was about close to 1,000 students that actually got to attend the conference and that were selected. So it was pretty competitive, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, that is wonderful. But I have to honestly say, I'm not surprised, sir.
Appreciate it.
So congratulations on that honor. And honestly, well-deserved, given what you've shared today.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
So if coordinators want to reach out to us, and maybe we can make some connections. We're open to help out wherever we can to maybe try to get their programs up and running or connect them with some students as well. I'll let them borrow a few of mine if they need to get it up.
Hey, that's how good education and good programs work, right? There's no new ideas. It's all good stuff shared and stolen liberally. That's great. I'm really glad to hear you say that. And for coordinators, you can always look up any other coordinators' contact information on Frisk Counts. If you're having trouble with that, feel free to contact myself at the division through the training department, and I'll be glad to make connections to kind of just keep these. That's what this Wednesday webinar is all about, right?
Yeah.
It's about.
I had 2 coordinators already email me yesterday. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No,
I had 2 coordinators already email me and asking for my documents and stuff yesterday. So it's definitely working.
That's excellent. That's wonderful. Wonderful to hear. Well, I think that's all I can think of. I can't say thank you enough for you all sharing this with coordinators across the state twice. So really appreciate you coming back on, and I hope that this is something that can really spread across the state. And Carlos, kudos to you, man. This is a very cool program, and thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
I will share one last thing here. So I'm going to go to share screen. So just a quick plug for our next Wednesday webinar. We'll be coming back together on Wednesday, February 10th. And we're going to have speakers from Mercer County, Amy Matthews and Allison Hazelwood. And they have a program where they put together kind of like those cooking boxes where you get all the ingredients and the instructions. Well, they've actually started a cooking club. So they put together food boxes, and this is my understanding at least, and then they have a virtual cooking class and club, and they use the common ingredients, and so kind of a fun way to do something kind of similar to the academic side of what you all have been sharing today. Oh, and actually, I probably should actually share the slide. So there we go. And so, yeah, Amy and Allison, Mercer County coordinators, are going to talk about their virtual cooking club. So please come back and join us on February 10th. All right. Well, thanks again, Carlos, Carla, and good luck with the program as you finish out the year. And we'll be excited to kind of see what kind of data and results you have. So thanks again.
For sure. You all have a
Thank
great day.
you. Thanks for having us, Greg. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay.